Hello, welcome to exercise application video 3. Today, a little flared up, so it was a very moderate day. I did a little bit of legs, lower body, and then I walked for about 15-20 minutes, and which gives us some more things to talk about today. So just kind of a recap, we've already talked about this with weight training in these videos, but doing weightlifting, I'm still predominantly in that PCR glycolysis or fast glycolysis system, and because of that, when you get to the energy metabolism, I'm burning predominantly carbs during higher intensity exercise, and that is higher intensity because I'm not able to sustain that again for long periods of time. But when you bring in the walking today, you kind of unlock the aerobic side of energy metabolism and energy production. And so what happens is eventually I run out of glucose for my fast glycolysis and I have to go into Krebs. So I have my pyruvates from fast glycolysis, taking off a carbon, adding oxaloacetate, and then, I have citrate, and I'm going through that cycle, and then I'm further going on to the electron transport chain. For me, I am not very well aerobically trained. I should work on it, but cardio is not something I do very often. So my VO2 max would be lower. And so what that means is my body is not as efficient as taking in oxygen and using it. Whereas someone who is very well trained would be able to take in lots of oxygen and use more of that oxygen than I would be able to. And so they'd be able to go for longer distances because their electron transport chain and their aerobic metabolism is more efficient than mine. But as you get towards more of that aerobic, Krebs, etc., you're burning more fat, because the things that go into Krebs cycle are the acetyl-CoA from pyruvates from glycolysis, but you can, from the beta oxidation of fatty acids, break off 2 of those carbons and cycle that as an acetyl-CoA through the citric acid cycle and then the electron transport chain. So although there's a bit of carbs still, especially because I wasn't at a super low or resting intensity, I still was burning some carbs when I was walking, but much more fat than when I was lifting weights in the first half of my workout. And so as a result of that, my RER would be a little closer to 0.7 during that phase of my workout than 1.0, because I would be producing less CO2, because remember, the byproduct when you get to the end of glycolysis and chop off a carbon from a pyruvate is you breathe out CO2, and I'm not doing as much of that when I start to get into aerobic respiration. So today my RER would be closer to 0.7, although not nearly a perfect 0.7, and yeah, I was working on my VO2 max, which does need some help. I did not reach my lactate threshold because I was able to sustain that, but if I had done that for maybe 40 minutes more, an hour, eventually my electron transport chain would not be able to meet the ATP demands my body was placing on it, and so I would have a buildup of NADH from not having enough oxygen and ATP to cycle through that, and that would then create that lactate and hydrogen acid in my body. So eventually I would fatigue, but I wasn't trying to do anything crazy today, so I didn't. So yeah.